start with roll call of the council, and then I'll do roll call of the members of the public. Emily?
Spencer Kingery,
Here.
Gail Connor,
Present.
Mike Isley, Cody Nelson, Randy Flora,
Present.
All right, thank you, Leanne. You also have Mayor Shane Evans, Leanne Aldridge, Emily Allball, you're out there. We have Aaron Juperl, Julia Leahy, Nate Lamar, and Ann Hughes here as well.
Welcome all.
Emily, is that satisfactory for you? Oh, you're muted.
If I could get the record for who is attending from you, that would probably suffice for our public hearing. The state hasn't given us any really guidance on this yet. It was kind of one of those, we think this is what it's gonna do to work. So that's what we're gonna do.
okay.
All right, thank you. So we're here for 2 public hearings today. I will start with a public hearing on the OCRA CDBG grant for COVID-19 response program. Before I call the public hearing to order, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Emily to describe the grant and why we're meeting here today.
Okay, so this is obviously a grant for emergency, it's for business grants for local businesses that they can apply to the city to help with employee retention, but also working capital. So this is a new program. Obviously, it's an emergency program put together by the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs. The city applied for and was awarded, hopefully you did see that change. So they applied for a grant of $198,600. There is no requirement of local match. However, the city is providing $3,972 in local dollars to pay for grant administration, as we do have to do income verification of all employees for all of those local businesses to make sure that we meet that 51% low to moderate income, which is a federal guideline. So we'll be handling all of that for the city, as well as all of the record keeping that goes with this grant. So the total project total was $202,572. Are waiting for the state right now to tell us how they want to roll out the program and what next steps are. I know the city has already been working on those next steps for putting together their rubric businesses to apply for this grant and how they would utilize it in their committee that's been put together. So that's pretty much where we're at right now.
All right, thank you, Emily. And what do you expect from the members of the public and the city council during the public hearing section of this meeting?
Just if there's any questions or comments, I would love to tell you I have tons of information about this grant, but since it is so new, I don't have an overabundance of information. So I will do my best to answer any questions that you have. Again, just bear with me, as this is something that was literally just rolled out and offered to our community partners.
All right, thank you, Emily. So it is 5:34 p.m. I will call the public hearing for the OCRA CDBG grant. I'll call it to order, and I'll start with members of the public. Do you guys have any questions for Emily, or have any statements regarding the use of federal funds to assist our local businesses during these trying times? So I guess I'll start with the order you guys are on my screen. Nate, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I guess just off the top of my head, just to clarify, so I think most businesses have already submitted applications for the grant process. Is what Emily's talking about in addition to what Delphi is doing, is it taking the place of? I guess you can clarify that.
To some extent, the funding is replacing local funds. So instead of using solely local funds on this project, we would be using uh, the money provided to us by the state of Indiana, which is federal money.
Okay, so the application process that we've already started will continue on. It's just funds coming from a different source, basically, to cover funds that have already been discussed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything further, Nate?
No, sir. Just thanks for all you guys' hard work on it. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Ms. Hughes?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for all of your hard work to get this thing started, and us to for. It's been much easier to communicate through this than it has for a lot of the other grants that have been facilitated for us, or the SBA programs. I know Aaron and I have talked a lot, and Julia and I have been emailing each other things that I found out along the way. Um, when we went through and we did our application, it was pretty straightforward. And like Nate asked about the other funding, if they coincide or they're different, my question would be, um, if and when we do receive this grant, different from the PPL programs and the SBA program, would be allotted to for, especially towards, I know I'm speaking for myself, but Aaron and I are in the same business realm. Would we be allowed to use that funding also to pay for supplies for our shop? You know, to get things built back up, on those natures, besides utilities and rent and lease spaces and such.
Give me just a second, and let me pull the application up.
I think from our section, I think we put in there for working capital, but I don't know how on your side, on your rubric, how that worked.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now.
And so with working capital, that would be the answer to my question, because that's what we would need, would be to, towards the end of it, our supplies were very limited on what we could get in. And we've been having webinars almost every day with different suppliers, and two of the large suppliers that facilitate the majority of the beauty salon community and day spas, they've reduced their inventory. I mean, Salon Centric has reduced their inventory well over $2 million the last time that we had our Salon Summit meeting, which for us means things that we would normally need to get, we need to order them as soon as we can, because when the rush comes back up, when people start to reopen, it's going to be a while before we can get things in. The scary part is, if you're not open, besides doing curbside retail and you're not doing services, it's very hard to allocate the small amount of money that you might have left aside before any grants come in to go ahead and pad the shelves with anticipation of bringing in the clients for that. I know I went through, and I know we're not open yet, but I went through the state board guidelines for Georgia last week, and what they're asking for spas, barbershops, and salons to do to meet the new COVID mandate. And it's going to be about $5 a person increase per person that sits in our chair or at the nail table, just to cover the new sanitation and sterilizations that we're going to do. I mean, we've always been sanitized and sterilized before, but for the non-touch thermometers when they come in and out, not being able to book more than one person at the same time, so you're cutting way back on the amount of people that were in the salon. So we're just trying to make sure that we dot all the I's and cross all the T's, that we do everything correctly to meet all the codes, and and make sure that if this money does come in for us, that I utilize it in the utmost allocated ways that we're supposed to. And so I just wanted to clear any gray area on that.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Ann. So I'm looking at the application right now, and as it stands, the funds can be used for payroll, utilities, rent, mortgage, insurance, or similar expenses, and products directly used in production of a project for sale. So at this point, it wouldn't seem to be that supplies would be an eligible expense. Now we can change the eligible use of funds. The city council can do that. That's something we can discuss. We're going to have another meeting next Monday. So this public hearing really is specifically geared towards using OCRA funds, but I'm glad you brought that up, and we can discuss that next Monday when we have another meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ann. Do you have anything further, Ms. Hughes?
No, I don't. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Aaron?
Hi guys. So yeah, everything that Ann said, 100% on that. And then also, I mean, I think to just back like forward on what Nate said too, is for like clarity, is this like Nate asked, this CBDG grant is like taking the place of the initial grant, which is what I think we're looking at right now on your screen, Shane. And if so, does that change the time frame of how you guys are voting and like scoring the Rubik's? Are the people who have already applied, I think today was the date that it was supposed to be in by, or even Friday, I think possibly. Is there going to be a new application process that happens? Is this separate or the same? Like, I think from a small business owner point of view, some clarification around like how this maybe changes the application process in general or extends it, just to give us a guidepost on that. And also, I do think everything Ann said is really, really valuable, because like we have been doing a ton of research on our industry in general, and Georgia got screwed because they're required to have a lot of stuff that they can't even get their hands on. Like right now, you can hardly even get barbicide. Like it's pretty much gone. And we're required to do these things that we're not even going to be ready for, quite honestly. And not to mention, we've all been out of business for 6 weeks and just doing the very best that we can. So, you know, all of these are really important things that, like, from small business point of view, really even very large salons. I mean, these are giant issues, and I think some clarification around those things are of utmost importance. But specifically to the CBDE, like, how is this really specifically different from the initial application that we already filled out, and is it at all? Like, can we just proceed forward and it's just kind of shifting? Or what do we need to know for those of us who have already applied?
So for those of you that have already applied, you guys are fine. We're going through the same application process that we originally set up. The only difference is that Emily may have to do income verifications of employees just to make sure, as a city, more than 51% of the money we're giving out is going to help low to moderate income, which is one of the federal guidelines. But in terms of what the businesses have to go through, you guys are fine with what you've done. We're on the same timetable as where we've been before. The only question I would have to the city council that doesn't need to be answered tonight would be, do we want to open it up for more applications, because we didn't get, that $198,000. We didn't get that much in asks from the businesses that have applied so far. So one question for the council next week when we're talking more would be, do we want to open the application again to try to get some businesses that may not have been able to apply by Friday of last week? But everything you guys have done, and Nate, Aaron, you guys are good. Your applications are in, they're being reviewed as we speak.
Yes, the only thing on our end, obviously we are awaiting further guidance from the state as to what the city's application, like you guys, the application process has already been completed on your end. So we just have to provide that information to the state. As far as we know, that's all that we still have, what the next step would be. But from a local business perspective, the income verification for all of your employees is something that is going to be in addition to basically what you already have established with the city's already existing grant program.
All right, cool. Can I ask another question on that, just for a little bit more clarification? So I'm a small business owner. I have one employee. And so as far as like an income verification, and then Shane mentioned 51%. So
Correct.
Just kind of like understand that.
So for any of the CDBG, which is Community Development Block Grants, which are funds that we receive for HUD, from HUD. So like these dollars are for wastewater projects, for fire stations, anything like that. So in order to be eligible to receive those funds, you have to meet a 51% of your population, basically, that you have to be 51% of, and I think it's the 80 percentile on the HUD income limits. So
Okay.
they're income limits that are already established by your county. In this, for Carroll County, it's already established by county. In some other counties, there's groupings of counties because they're considered to be metropolitan areas. But for Carroll County, we have those limits. Those are specified by HUD. We cannot do anything to alter those, or those are already predetermined limits. They're updated annually. New limits come out every July. It's what we use for income surveys and employee verification. So we'll just put that form together, and it's a quick, how many people are in your household, and it's basically 1 plus, and there's there's a set amount, and then you just put above or below. We don't ask for the specific income of that household. You just say, okay, if there's 2 people in my household, you put that 2-person household box, and you see that amount is there, and you click above or below. That's all. So it's providing the information that we need, but it's still confidential because we're not asking for your specific household information.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah, does that clarify it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I still think it's like, I don't, like 51% of the money will go to the payroll. Is that
No. So 50, you have to, it's based off, it's your household income. So it's 51% of like your population. It's based on 80%.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So then we have to basically say that 51% of the total population, or your total, all the employees of Delphi are over this amount.
Alright.
Basically, like, so if we say, we send out these income verifications, and say we only got, the total population was 10. We have to have 6 that come in as below in order for us to meet that 51%. Is that fair? Okay.
Fantastic. All right, Aaron, did you have anything further? Nope. All right, thank you. I know, Nate, you said you had another question. I'll bring it back to you.
So obviously right now, anything state or federal is moving at a snail's pace. I know we originally, what was on the grant application was that these would be funded, decided May 4th, funded May 7th. Is this something where Delphi will fund it if those funds don't come through, or that hits a roadblock, and then can be reimbursed by the OCRA grant that we're talking about? Or is it something where we're going to be on their timeline now?
Well, that's what we're going to discuss here with an additional appropriation as well. I don't know about the reimbursement, so Emily, I'll throw it over to you on that, but in just a second. But what I plan on happening here is that we'll do an additional appropriation, so we do have the funds available at the city to make sure that the state and federal dollars don't hold anybody up. So we're going to be discussing that in a little bit. But Emily, do you know about a reimbursement on this grant?
I honestly, I don't know. I do know, like I said, Delphi, the city of Delphi, their application was just awarded. What was that, last Friday? Was that on Friday, the Thursday?
One of them.
Yeah, I know. It's a complete blur. basically awarding the state, just to kind of let you know some background information, they thought total statewide that we would only receive 30 to 40 of these applications. They received over 75. So they're kind of awarding them on like a rolling, as they're coming in, they're taking the time to get them all put together. But they're also still working out the kinks in the program because we tried to get everything done so quickly. So to help as many communities as we possibly could. So yes, we have the money, it's been awarded, but we're still awaiting on those next steps. So unfortunately, I don't know what type of timeline for reimbursement. I don't have that answer for you.
Okay, I appreciate it. I know everybody across the board, including the other business owners on this call, can just say, you know, we've applied for federal money back in March, and I had a phone call today with the SBA where they basically blamed it on the computer and nobody can do anything until the computer figures it out. So I have all the faith in the world in the city of Delphi on delivering. I don't have very much faith on federal and state grant dollars at this point.
So the benefit of this is side SBA, SBOA, is that money was already on hand. And we're not waiting on computer or anything like that. It's just what are our next steps is that we're trying to figure that out. I do know that they have kind of guided, they're putting together things right now for timelines and things for the first applications that have been awarded. So I would anticipate any time within the next 2 weeks, we would definitely get more information from the state and further direction. So hopefully, I'm hoping that you're going to be able to receive financial assistance much quicker than some of these other programs that have those internal.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Nate. Julia, we'll go to you. Do you have anything for public comment?
I think just a point of clarification, mainly for Emily. So in other words, you have to do an income survey for the city of Delphi, not just of the employee, of the applicants. It's the whole city?
That is incorrect.
Okay.
We, the city already has, you qualify, the city as a whole qualifies by census.
Okay.
But in order to utilize this for economic development standpoint, which is what this money is for, we have to do income verification of those employees based off it's basically taking a smaller sample of the already, I know, it gets confusing. So you qualify as a city as a whole, but then in order to take those federal funds and utilize them at the individual business for economic development opportunity, we have to make sure that those actual employees then qualify to meet that 51%. So that helps.
So it does, but what about those businesses who apply that are pretty much only sole proprietorships or don't have employees?
Right. So if there's only one employee, I mean, you're still employed yourself. You would just complete it for that business.
Okay. That clears my question. Thank you.
All right. Any other members of the public have any other comments? Yes, ma'am, Ann, go ahead.
I have 5 employees. Will it be, and I apologize, I was responding to Mr. Kingery over here, went into everybody about what I was talking about as far as the chemicals that we are discussing with the line. And I understand each one of my employees is going to be based on that. You know, that's what it's going to be based on as far as the HUD part of it. But at what point will we be able to have that form to fill out or access to a form for them to fill it out on our end to get it going?
So we will get that to you. Our office will handle all of that, and we will get that to you. I don't know to say as to when the state is going to tell us when we have to start doing income verification.
Okay.
So until they tell us, because we don't want to start gathering, because if we gather information too quickly before they set it up that can really greatly skew things and not give us a true representation of the actual income of that set period. So we have to make sure that we're following those guidelines. But we'll take care of all of that. Our office handles that.
Okay, I'm just like super late, and I know Aaron is telling like, here's something I can get right now. I'll download it, get it filled out, and drop it in the box.
Yes, trust me. Trust me. If I can get those to you, and I'm hoping in the next week or two that we can get those. And I'm not quite sure if we will mail hard copies out to the businesses that are participating, or how we will assimilate that process. But we'll get more information on that and help. We'll get the forms to you. You don't have to worry about that.
Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Ann. Anything further from the members of the public? All right, I'll turn it over to the Common Council, President Pro Tem Connor.
Hi, Emily. I have a question.
Yes.
As far as the terms of the OCRA application, what is our accountability as far as the disbursement of the funds? Do we have to show that we are directly dispersing the funds to businesses, or can they be used to reimburse local fund usage?
That is something I will have to get additional information on. I don't know how that process is going to. We haven't quite received that information since this was rolled out so quickly. I don't know if it will operate how a typical, if it will just be, if it's going to be reimbursement, or if it will just be you provide us the information and like an invoice. If it were like a typical construction grant, we provide invoices and claim vouchers to the state, and then from that, then you get the money. So I don't know. I think that it's probably going to have work how the typical OCRA CDBG fund process works, where it won't be necessarily like a reimbursement because they aren't reimbursement grants. But I don't know 100% on that. That's how I'm thinking it's going to go, but I don't want to misinform you.
So if that's the case and we spend our local funds, could we be losing out on the OCRA funds?
So if you were to,
If we go ahead and appropriate additional money tonight so that we can get something into the hands of the small business owners, and OCRA sees that we had the money to do this, are they going to pull back on the grant money from us?
well, the thing is, your grant has already been awarded by the state.
Okay.
So you technically are stating, like, as far as the state is concerned, they see that you need this $198,000.
Right.
So, I mean, if you are needing that money right off the bat, then that's a decision that you're going to have to make.
Okay.
But I can't direct you one way or the other on that. I mean, you have $198,000 coming to you from the state of Indiana.
Okay. And what are the stipulations for the use of that? That's what I'm looking at.
So there has to be basically what you've already done. There will be an application process. A committee will be formed, which you already have your committee.
Okay.
They will have a scoring rubric for all of these applications for the businesses that are needing funds. And you basically, Shane, I can't remember how many businesses we said that we were going to assist. Can you pull that up?
We said $5,000 maximum per business, so we could give out I think 40 was the most if all of them were fully funded.
That's basically what we told the state we're going to do.
Okay.
Obviously, our goal is to meet that.
Right.
If we have a need where we aren't meeting that 40 businesses, then that's something, again, this program is so new that we're kind of anticipating that it's going to kind of run maybe a little bit like the disaster recovery money, where it's a little bit not lax, but it's not as black and white as what the typical CDBG usage is. That we might be able, like, we wouldn't have to go in and say, well, we're only able to have 20 businesses that utilize this, and go in and we aren't, I'm not sure if we would have to do like a modification or anything like that to the grant.
That was going to be my next question, because if we You have some businesses that asked for the full 5,000, but some that did not. They asked for a lesser amount. So if we don't wind up awarding the total amount, where does that leave the surplus?
So, in any given situation, if you don't utilize all of your CDBG funds, they go back to the state.
Okay.
So obviously, we want you to use all of this money. We don't like giving back money.
No, we don't.
We don't like that. There's a lot more paperwork.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, President Pro Tem Connor, anything further?
Nope.
All right, let's go to Councilman Kingery.
So just for clarification, we have no estimated time for the money to be dispersed to us, correct?
Correct. I don't know what that is at this time.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right, Councilwoman Flora.
Okay, I had a couple of questions. On our application, is that what the state is requiring, or is that something that Delphi is requiring for all, the list of everything that we needed?
That's something Delphi is requiring, and we based our application more or less off of what Noblesville had already put out.
Okay, so what happens when I saw there was a few businesses that didn't get us everything that we needed? Will that cause them not to get any of the emergency funds?
That's something we can talk about next week, but my understanding is it's our decision through the selection committee in the city of Delphi.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have anything further, Councilwoman Flora?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you. Emily, we already passed a resolution that allows us to apply for this, and we've already been awarded the funds, and really we just have to have this public hearing before they can send us the funds. So is there any kind of vote that is required from us today?
No.
All right. Well, with that, is there any other public comment? All right, thank you all for participating, and this closes out the first public hearing of the night at 6:02 p.m. So now we'll move to the second public hearing of the night, which is an additional appropriation from the edit fund for $100,000. The reason that we're doing both of these is because really at the time we didn't know we were going to get OCRA funds, and we have to provide at least 10 days notice in the paper of an additional appropriation and at least 10 days for the OCRA grant. So we figured we could do them both tonight and figure out where we were going from there. So this is a discussion of an additional appropriation of $100,000 from edit that would be used towards a small business resilience grant. My thought process is if we get some clarification from the state that they can reimburse us, but the funds are tied up for a little bit, and we can use this money to go ahead and cut some checks to local businesses earlier and then get reimbursed in the future if they permit that. And if we have to wait on their money to come in first before we can disperse, then this additional appropriation would still be here for the rest of the year in case the coronavirus lasted 6 months and we wanted to do another round of the small business resilient grant program. Is kind of my thinking. If we appropriate this money and we don't use it, then it just rolls back into the edit fund next year. So that's my thoughts on it. I will open the public hearing. It is 6:04 p.m. Let's go ahead and start with the Common Council on this one. President Pro Tem Connor.
If we appropriate the money tonight and put it in earmark it for this purpose, and then we don't need to use it, is it stuck in this fund, or can it go back into the general fund? Or do we have to wait till the end of the year?
Well, it's already coming out of edit reserves. My thought is we could do a transfer to a separate line item. We'd still have to give all the public notice that's required of transferring funds like that.
But it would have to stay within the edit fund, correct?
Yes, ma'am. This is edit money.
Okay.
Originally anyway.
Okay. I think it would be my preference, since we still have a little bit of time, that we wait until Monday when the full council's there to let everybody have some input on this. I think we still have some time, and we could still meet the May 7th deadline to get money to the small businesses. But I'd like to see Emily have some time to get the clarification about the reimbursement of funds.
Right. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. We don't even know if the state will be prepared to give us an answer on reimbursement by Monday, but it does give them more time.
Okay,
President Pro Tem Connie, do you have anything further on this?
I don't.
All right, let's go to Councilman Kingery.
Hang on just a second.
And sorry, while we're waiting on Councilman Kingery, Jess Lamar is also on the call. So Leanne, if you want to put that in your notes. We also have Jess. Thanks for being here, Jess. All right, Councilman Kingery, I'm going to roll it over to Councilwoman Flora.
Okay.
Wait. Councilwoman Flora, do you have anything regarding the additional appropriation?
No, I think this is wonderful, what we're trying to do to keep these businesses going, because they're so important, and I just, wherever we can, I mean, it would be nice to be reimbursed, and I think it's a great idea to hold it just in case they're saying it could come back in the fall, so, yeah. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you. Councilman Kingery?
Okay, well, I tend to think we could go ahead and move forward with this, so that way it's not another step that we have, because if we do allocate the money over, and then we do get the OCRA funds, we can, give the notice and transfer it back to a different line item if needed. So it's just one less step and something that we're eventually probably end up going to do anyway. So that's just my opinion.
Would you be okay with waiting until next Monday?
I mean, if it's not going to slow up the process, I don't have a problem with waiting, but, I would like to see, let's get the money as quick as we can. And, if we can streamline this to get money to our businesses, I'd rather try to do that.
All right. I don't think that by waiting until next Monday, that it will impact when we get checks to the businesses.
Okay.
All right. Do you have anything further on this, Councilman?
Nope.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll go to the public, and I'll start from the bottom. Julia, do you have anything, public comment regarding additional appropriation?
No, I think it makes perfect sense to kind of wait and see and weigh all your options. So it's a great fund to have resources. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Julia. Ms. Dubril?
Nope, nothing else. Thank you so much for you guys' work. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron. Ms. Hughes?
I think that's it. We've gotten a lot of great info tonight, and a lot of my questions were answered, so thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ann. And the Lamars, do you have any public comment?
You?
Nope.
If there's anything that small business owners can do to assist in this process, please let us know. I know it was said earlier that not all of them were applied for. If there's a running list or businesses that haven't applied, we're happy to go out and talk to people and help them with the application process if that's what it takes. But thanks again.
All right, thank you, sir. And at this point, applications are closed, but if we do decide to open it up to utilize all the 198,000 we're getting from OCRA, we can surely do that. So thank you, sir. And Debbie Lowe, I don't know if you're able to talk to us right now, or if you even want to. If you do, you want to send us, you're good. All right, you send us a chat that you're good. And Emily, you're a member of the public on this one. Do you have anything regarding additional appropriation?
I don't at the time.
All right, thank you. Anything further from the public or the council? Just Leanne coughing? All right. Well, I will close the public hearing on the additional appropriation at 6:10 p.m. Council, do you have any objections to waiting until next Monday to bring this back up again?
No.
No objections.
All right, no objections being heard. That is all we have for the agenda tonight. I appreciate members of the public, business owners, Julia from the chamber, as well as the Debbie Lowe from the Comet, and the council members who were able to participate. We appreciate you guys being on here. It's great that we were able to receive these from OCRA, and hopefully we can get some answers as quickly as possible so we can turn around and get you those funds that are so badly needed. So thank you very much for you guys being here. There is one last motion to be made from the council.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Do you want to go ahead and make it to adjourn?
That too.
All right.
Yes.
So President Pro Tem Connor with the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. I have to go through roll call. Sorry on this. President Pro Tem Connor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Kingery?
Aye.
Councilwoman Flora?
Aye.
All right. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much for being on here. We will be meeting next Monday at 6 p.m. via Zoom. You can shoot me an email if you'd like to participate in that meeting as well.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.